Welcome back, guys. I'm Zell, and today we're looking at how to open your knife. Sounds like a simple thing, doesn't it? I mean, really, we take this reptilian here, you stick your thumb down there on the thumb stud, and it's open. Basic stuff. Nail nick here, so you gotta have two hands. It's open. But it's not really that simple. In a lot of the videos, people ask if knives are automatic. Take the SE Avispa for example. You know, it opens like that. Not a problem. It's not an automatic knife. It's a completely manual knife. There's no springs, no nothing in here. Completely manual. So knife manufacturers kind of hook us up whenever they build a knife. They don't do it for us to open it quickly, really. What they really do it for is to keep the knife closed. It's called a closed detent. And watch and listen here whenever we close this rat one. It will at some point suck itself in. Yep, and it's closed. That's called a closed detent. In here, it's a little hole on the blade, you could say, and a ceramic or stainless ball, I'm not sure, but that goes in that little hole on the blade, holds the blade closed. And there are lots and lots of different ways to do the detent, but they all do the same thing. They give us the opportunity to do that. And the way they do that is, the theory is pretty simple. We'll put it like this. If you're playing tug of war with another team, and both teams are just pulling and pulling and pulling, trying to stay out of that mud hole, and then one team just completely lets go, what happens? Well, the team that's still holding on, they all fall all over each other backwards, right? Well, same concept here. Whenever you have the detent that's holding this closed, you put pressure against it with your thumb. And you're building pressure and building pressure and building pressure, and it finally lets go. Now, if you do it easy like that, the knife doesn't fly open. But you put just a little bit of extra pressure behind it, we get to here. Act like you really want it to flip out, and it doesn't take all that much, but there it goes. So we've achieved why it's possible. So what are the opening mechanisms? We have our nail nicks. A nail nick knife, guys, it's just a two-handed knife. There's not much we can do about that. You can get little thumb discs and thumb studs that will clamp onto the back of the blade, but really, for the most part, they're just two-handed openers, unless you want to make a modification to them. And then, from there, what came next, I believe, was the thumb stud. The thumb stud, whether it's on a rat or on an Avispa here, the thumb stud is really designed so that you can take the knife and go like that. Just roll it open. But if you do what we said, you build up a little pressure behind that detent, and then let her go, it pops right open just like an automatic or a assisted opener. So thumb studs. And then the most obvious, of course, is the flipper. You have this little tab on the back of the knife, and you push down on it, and the blade opens. Easy peasy. Well, not really. Sometimes you got to learn how to flip these things just like the others. Sometimes you got to kind of push in and gather up a little bit of pressure before you give it a little down, and off it goes. Others, ball bearing ones and whatnot, they flip just fine without any of that. But for the most part, or for a manual one with regular bushings in it, you may have to gather up a little pressure, pushing straight back into it, and then go down. But the flipper tab gives you the ability to flick that knife out just as quick as you would an automatic or an assisted opener. And then we have the Spidey hole. Oh, there are so many ways people have figured out how to open a knife with a Spidey hole. It's, you can do it with your thumb, do it with your middle finger. I've seen people do it with their pinky. Yeah, there we go. You're whatever. The same thing is true here, though. You're building up pressure behind that detent and then popping it off the detent. Whether it's with your thumb, doing a Spidey flick with your middle finger, or whatever. So, anyhow, Spydercos that have a good detent are probably some of the more fun knives to play with. They will open in multiple different ways. And just for comparison's sake, here's a Benchmade 550 HG. Same thing, you have that hole in the blade, so you can do all the spidiness you would like to do with it. And here we have a different lock system and a different detent system, but it still works just fine if you don't hit the table with it. So anyhow, guys, there are all the secrets. Take your manual knife, your Rat 1, you build up a little pressure behind that thumb stud, flick it out. Not a problem. You take your spider hole knife, you can flick it that way. You can flick it that way. Take your manual with a flipper, put a little pressure on it, and flip it out. And really, that's all there is to it. If you have enough dexterity in your hands, all this flicking of knives is pretty easy. Now, if you're a person that doesn't have all that manual dexterity in your hands, you may want to look at automatics or assisted openers if you're wanting to get that knife open quickly. Anyhow, guys, I really appreciate you stopping by and hanging out with me for a few minutes. I hope this was helpful to some of you, as I know there's been some how the heck did he do that things, and people thinking that these knives were an assisted, like this ZT0770, which does have a torsion bar in it, which causes it to open. But nope, these are all manual, no springs, no torsion bars, none of that sort of thing. Anyhow, guys, I really appreciate you stopping by and hanging out with me for a few minutes. And like I said, I hope this was helpful. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And you have an awesome day.